This is strange. It's so crazy that it's this hard for someone like me to find an argument. Like, I don't believe in anything you believe. And the best that's going to happen is some goofy Israeli troll will sit here and watch my feed. But they've just shut my shit down completely. It's the craziest shit. And it's the guy that says Diddy is the distraction, because the Jews have been doing Diddy stuff forever. Like, it's so... Weinstein's gonna get out on some weird reality. And all guys, I mean, where's the Terry Richardson exposition? Why isn't Terry Richardson being exposed and charged and all this other shit? Why don't you guys even know who Terry Richardson is? What about Leslie Moonves? Haven't heard anything about Leslie Moonves, have you? These fucking Jews, man. There's my one Israeli. They gave Diddy a career. Like, Diddy's the grenade, right? And they were just waiting to pull the pin. They've just been waiting, giving him the career, letting him have the life, going to his parties. I mean, seriously. There should be basically pictures of everybody at one of these Diddy parties at one time or another. There's that Trump Diddy picture that's real, not as popular as it should be. Your boy Trump was at one of them Diddy parties. Which again, why would Donald Trump be hanging out with P. Diddy even a little bit? Just like him hanging out with Kanye? Like, what? Am I supposed to believe that Kanye West and Donald Trump have like great conversations and shit? Are we that stupid? Seriously? How can we be that stupid? You know, this Diddy shit, believe me, I'm not like at all standing up for Diddy or think he's a good guy, or it's just another piece of shit. But Diddy is just a small piece, he's just a Jew pawn. That's all he is. These piece of shit Jews, they've been doing this. I mean, it's just nuts. Like, the photographic and video evidence that literally exists of rich and famous people doing horrible things. It exists. It's everywhere. Like, you can Google like Tesla children experiments and you know, elite killing children and Jew bloodletting and all that shit. And there's just endless evidence of it. And yet most people, like the person that just left, will call it a conspiracy. You're just a conspiracy theorist. You dirty conspiracy theorist. And then shit like this Diddy stuff comes out. And now everybody's like, oh, see, look, see? Look at the black people. Kanye comes out, says, look at black people. Cat Williams comes out, says, look at black people. Only look at black people. Because that's all. Cat Williams only pointed out black people. Kanye only pointed out black people. Kanye's talking about, I'm going DEFCON 3 on the Jews, blah, 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 blah. What happened? Whenever he got an audience, he talked about LeBron James and Michael Jordan and Shaq and Jay-Z and Beyonce. People everybody already knows about. He literally didn't drop any dimes. Like it's so strange. It's so strange to be me. I'm telling you. To sit here and look at all of this and be like, what? Hey, why are you guys? What are you guys falling for this for? Yeah. Diddy beat some chick's ass in a hotel. Yeah. Who's surprised by that? The only thing I'm surprised about is it was a chick. Aren't you? I mean, weren't you surprised to see it was a female, not some dude? Oh wait, all of the Hollywood people are the females are dudes and the men are women, according to stupid fucking truthers like that. What's her name chick that used to come on here? Yeah, it's funny. People that push that narrative, as soon as you ask them about it, it's amazing how much they change. They're not like, oh shit, you want to know more? Here, let me explain it to you. And it's the same thing whether it's a Christian, whether it's a Jew, whether it's a Trump supporter, whether it's you name it. Anybody who believes anything, if you just say, hey, I might not necessarily believe the same thing you do. Can you answer some questions? It's like you shove the fucking panties up their ass. I got 3 people watching right now. I don't know who you are, but I encourage you to talk. Fucking A, man. I want to hear what you have to say. If I'm wrong about anything I'm talking about, please let me know. If you think Diddy is the boss, the final boss, I'd love to hear from you. Like, people just don't understand. Diddy is given what he has. He's been paid. Somebody gives him his fortune, his status. And the thing about a Diddy is, and this is what I never, it's like Weinstein, all these guys. How is it Diddy is the only one going down? How is it Weinstein was the only, how is it his network that facilitated him is not in just as much, if not more trouble? You don't hear about that. Whatever happened to Bonnie? I don't even know her name, but Weinstein's #1 assistant, her name was Bonnie. Not only was she, the facilitator and got a lot of the girls to Weinstein, she actually participated. They threesomes. They had threesomes where they violated females. And yet this Bonnie chick, bet she's a Jew, nowhere to be seen. How many of these fucking clowns just disappear once they get in trouble? And it's not like they get, they like the principal from Ferris Bueller, pedophile. Like these guys are just everywhere. The whole thing. If real life was as full of pedophiles as Hollywood, like it'd be like 1 in 3 people you work with would be pedophiles. 1 in 2 people you come across on the street would be pedophiles. That's how prominent that shit is in the Hollywood upper and pedophiles, hebophiles, sexual predators, whatever it is. You know what I don't understand? I watch videos all the time, and there'll be videos like about TCAP or something like that, and they will bleep out every fucking word possible. And a lot of times you kind of don't know what they're necessarily saying, and it's like, what are we doing here? Are we seriously saying I can make a video that's all about TCAP, but if I say the word, you know, predator or assault, the word that'll screw up the video, but the concept, the point of the video being about these pedos, that's fine. It's just can't say certain words because words make the YouTube mad. It makes the algorithm mad. What? What's that about? Other than disrupting communication and making things more difficult. It's like it's insultingly stupid. I'm going to make a video all about guns, but I'm not going to say the word gun because if I say the word gun, then something's wrong. YouTube has the ability to pick out the word gun in your spoken statements, but it doesn't have the ability to know that you're talking about gun. Like, you know how stupid that is? That's like having, high school age children and still spelling things thinking they can't understand. Hey, do you want to go out to an MOVIE? Dude, mom, seriously, I know what the fuck you're talking about. Shh. Like, what's going on? Do you not realize how infantile and stupid we are? A kid's getting in trouble because he makes a list at a school about who the best players are in their football game, and because the kid puts himself at like number 5. But because the kids on the bottom of the list are upset about it, you can't make the list? What the fuck are we doing? Like this world we live in where because people are upset about it, it can't be said. We are going in such a dangerous direction with this. To me, I have zero. I'm a person of color. Okay, you can see it. You might not know exactly what I am, but I'm a person of color. And I have zero problem with the KKK openly spewing their hatred. You know why? Because then I know who the fuck they are. And I can figure out a way to try to confront them. This idea of, well, I don't like what that person is saying, so that needs to be censored. What? Where do we draw that line? Who gets to be in charge of that shit? In my mind, you take the kid that made the list and you go, dude, this is great. Here, let me show you how to make your list a little bit better. Great that you would take this sort of initiative and make like a spreadsheet and shit. Like, what? Good job, dude. Like, I can't understand this narrative that we live under nowadays where, and it falls into this category. I'm going to say this and I'm going to, the whole pronouns thing, right? Everybody with the pronouns. And I know there's a lot of people going, yeah, fuck that, blah, blah. Because, you think I'm saying one thing that I'm not. Because for me, the whole pronoun thing is so not a big deal. Oh, you want to be called she? You want to be called they? You want to be called whatever? Cool. That absolutely does not bother me. Oh, I got to sit here and memorize all these different pronouns. I'm like, what are you talking about? You have to memorize them. Don't you already know them? That's just somebody saying, I'd rather be called this. Okay, so like it's such a stupid distraction, but it works. It's a stupid, very well, well-working distraction. I can't believe how many people are caught up in this distraction. My wife has some friends that literally go by they. Yeah. And she was like, it's like, what?
It's very hard to get used to.
It's hard to get used to, no doubt, but
When
that's
you're
what change
talking.
is. But that's what change is. You know? Do you know how many? Do you
Well,
know for
the
years white
unfortunate
people
part
had to
about
learn how to not say niggers?
at
Think
the
about your
same
stepdad.
time, that's throwing in a word that everybody is very conscious of. First of all,
What?
when you're talking about, oh, she left him over there, or oh, go stand by her, or okay, so that's like our regular words that are part of all
But
of our
that's
sentences.
what nigger used to be.
Okay, but it's not.
But that's what
And
it
it
used to
hasn't
be.
been for many, many,
But
many
that
decades.
but
And it's just one word.
until that point it changed. It had to but and there were white people that I gotta stop calling this guy what I gotta call him something. I gotta Negro, African American, colored. Like which one do they want to be? Jesus. It's the same
Again,
thing.
though, that's just one word. We're talking about her, she,
Okay, but
you
I
know.
just gave you a bunch of other words.
No, you're talking about the N word.
No, I just said white people with black people, they African American, Negro, nigger, all these. The idea that that shit has changed throughout the years is it's the same thing.
To an extent. But the problem is these people, including my friends, don't, they're not giving us the grace of the transition period. They get mad. And then they like
Okay.
jump down your throat and correct you. And it's
That
like,
that's
okay, well,
I
I'm trying to get used to not saying she and her. I'm
okay.
sorry.
Well, I mean
It's
again,
part of a regular sentence. It's not an extra
right.
adjective.
Nobody's asking you to run a marathon, and and
But
at
they
the same
are.
and no, they're not. And at the same time, like you just said, there has to be a transition period, and for them to get mad, I mean, but when they get mad, again, that's a learning experience for them. You could say, hey, no need to get mad. Understand that I totally respect you and accept you and support you in whatever you do. Just takes a minute to get used to. Sorry, I'm not used to saying it. So I'll do my best to do that from now on, but understand that there might be another time or two where I mess up until I can really reprogram myself, which I am more than willing to do. And that's how that has to be addressed.
And the other thing is I'm a grammar Nazi, and they is a plural word. So like when you say, "Oh, they just said that," you're looking for multiple people. You're not looking for one person.
Again, and
So
and it's so not a big deal. It really isn't. You're making much more of a deal of it than you need to be because the fact is you're probably only going to encounter that in rare occasions and rare circumstances. And yep, you're going to have to make some changes for that time frame. And what you do is you make those changes like not just when they're there, and you just reprogram yourself. It's pretty simple. It's not a big deal.
they them denotes more than one person. Are you
So
saying they're
what?
schizophrenic? Like,
So they're not, but they're not saying they're schizophrenic. They're just saying this as of now in 2024, we haven't maybe there's a word that hasn't yet been come up with. Maybe in 20 years they'll be known as Pacos, and it'll make it much easier for all the people out there that pretend it's a big deal. Maybe. I don't know. But I look at it like you want to talk about it. I mean, look at the last 5 minutes or so of this conversation. We've gone off on this other tangent, and the things that you're bringing up, you say them, and I mean, again, I'm not at all trying to shit on you or anything. I don't enjoy this. I don't. You happen to be this example right now because you made yourself the example. And again, it's nothing. This is part of the change. This is part of the transition. This is part of people figuring this stuff out. So I'm not like shitting on you at all. But I just think that like when you bring up the terms that you said, when you're like, and I have to do this, and I'm a grammar, like, if you step back and you look, it's like, get over yourself. It's not really not that big a deal. What you're talking about, it's not like he's saying, can you carry this full cup of water without spilling a drop
no,
half
can
a
you
mile?
purposely speaking correctly?
I mean, it's only what's been deemed correctly by a society that wasn't accommodating from the beginning. So they're, they're just trying to fit into a situation. They are square pegs trying to fit into the, like there's, because that's the only whole option that's given. When the reality is, it's a whole big ass fucking hole, and it's a bunch of different shapes, and it's so not a big deal. When you compare, especially when you say, okay, so let's go, they, them, the whole argument, the trans stuff, versus 42,000 fucking people have been killed plus. 90,000 plus have been injured, and well over 2 million have been displaced because the Jews think they're better than everybody else. Like when you're talking about that, those two things, those two comparables, to me, they, them, thee, thy, thou is no big deal. And it doesn't at all deserve my energy or attention in comparison.
Yeah, but let somebody use the wrong there or your, and people lose their shit.
They don't lose their shit. They really don't. You're exaggerating the response. But like I said, if somebody gets upset, have some compassion. Understand that by the time you've talked to them, especially if it's late in the day, they've probably had this happen a handful of times at least throughout the day. They've got every single day of all the phobias and all the nonsense and all the big deals and all that shit. And it's all, and the reality is they don't have an outlet. It's the same thing with white people, right? You have these new generations of white people that are watching as, like us. We check the black boxes for our kids. You'd never know our kids are black looking at them. The government says they're black because of who their parents are, so we check those black boxes because they're going to get a lot more opportunities and advancement ability just for being black.
I guess my biggest problem with it.
And you see white people, you see all that, like, hey, we didn't do that. Why are we getting singled out for that? Why is it okay for Mexicans and black people and Chinese and everybody else to be proud? Black pride, brown pride, But if you say white pride, that's racist. We didn't do that. Why are we paying for what was done hundreds of years ago, at the same time not realizing that they perpetuate a lot of the fucking racism and stereotypes without even realizing it? Sorry, what were you saying?
I guess my biggest problem with it is the fact that I don't want to use the word disorder because it's not correct, but this is a mental health issue that's not being addressed, and they're trying to normalize it as it's a category. Like,
how is this a mental health issue?
Being utterly confused.
How are they confused?
As to your biology?
I don't think they're confused. I think they know exactly. Like, no, I think
they don't.
I think if you're anything but what you're, quote, supposed to be, you're probably less confused than somebody. Like, it's like if you've only eaten chicken, you can't possibly say that steak is gross. You have no idea. You can think steak might be gross. It can look gross. It can blah 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 blah. But you never know. If you try it, it might taste good. And so, like, these people that have been like, yeah, I tried the straight thing, didn't work. I tried the gay thing, didn't work, because I was confused. I didn't understand. I didn't fit in. I felt like when all my buddies are going, look at them titties, and I'm going, I guess. And then I hang out with the gay friends, and they're like, hey, look at that schlong, and I'm like, whatever. Like, those people, they don't fit in, and then they go, they're not confused. They know. They've tried it. They've been around the block and back. They know what they like, what they don't like. I mean, again, you have to have some real confidence to leave your house dressed like several of your friends. And, good for them. Like, this, we're not. The fact that you think it's a disorder, it just shows the lingering programming. This isn't a disorder.
It's not a correct. It's a miswiring. It's
how
a
is it a
mental
miswiring?
thing.
It's how do we? The only reason we think we're supposed to be straight is because the society has told us that.
Be straight. That's not it at all. It's one thing, you know. I can understand the hormone imbalances and whatever.
Again, see, wait. But see, you're saying you're saying things like hormone imbalances, which then again we're talking about what you are told to think is normal, and then what they are is the imbalance. How do you know it's an imbalance? Just different.
Because that is nature.
No, it's not. Nature is full of gay and stuff. We don't.
There is. I'm not talking about gay. Okay.
Okay,
it's one thing if you're a man and you are attracted to.
Why are you getting so upset?
Because you keep changing what I'm saying.
No,
I'm not talking about gay. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the people
we can't say that there are not. We don't know how many male skunks wish they were female skunks. We can't figure that out.
I can even understand a dude being born a male and wishing they were a female and liking boys, and I can understand that. I can understand the other way, girl being. I get that. I get my sister. Where I think the confusion starts is where I even get I just like the person for the person. I don't care if they end up being a boy or a girl. But biologically, scientifically, you are born with this anatomy. Therefore, it makes you that particular sex in that classification in the scientific world.
Okay, again, a manufactured world. A completely manufactured world where there are consistently anomalies.
There are anomalies.
And again, you're not acknowledging the manufactured aspect of it. This isn't like, it's not like this is just how it is.
Well, assigning colors names is manufactured too.
Exactly.
It's a universal way for everybody.
But if you were to say that there's only red, yellow, green, then that's ridiculous, because there are many, many shades of red.
I understand that.
Okay.
But to think that I'm neither a male or a female, well, that's just not correct. You are.
Why would that bother you?
Other.
Why does that bother you?
We all have both.
Why would that bother you? That's ridiculous to think that somebody else is saying, I don't identify with either one. I think men are fucking weird and women are weird, and I'm somewhere in between. Why would that bother you? You're not a scientist. Why would that bother you?
Biologically.
You're not a biologist. You're not a biologist.
It doesn't matter. We're all.
And it does. It absolutely does exist. There are many, many more hermaphroditic people than you realize.
Hermaphrodites are born with both parts.
Okay.
I've known hermaphrodites.
Right. So that is okay, but they haven't gone by them because that wasn't a thing until recently. One, and that is biologically and scientifically, it disproves your point. Because there are, just because you have the external doesn't make it any different than the internal. You could have the internal the same way. It's not a miswiring or anything like that. It's just how people are.
Internally, that's called schizophrenia. And that is a
we all have multiple personalities inside of us. There are levels to it. But we all do it. We all have those voices that in our heads that we talk to, that we have conversations with. I literally, at least once a day, I have to ask my wife what, because I think she's talking to me, but she's talking to herself. Like this is where my consistency comes in compared to everyone else, because I'm saying, look, if they're lying about this and this and this and this and this and this and this set of rules and laws and all that, it's probably another lie. Especially when you see a whole bunch of different examples of it everywhere. And then to think like, again, that it would bother you that somebody doesn't identify however they, why would that bother you? Why would that affect you in any way whatsoever?
What bothers me is the mental issue that is not being addressed.
What mental issue is not being addressed? I don't understand. Are you saying that they should be like medicated or locked up or something?
No.
So what? How would it be addressed? It's addressed. The issue, I guess, if you want to call it an issue, them being who they are is them addressing it. I'm this person. What addressing are you talking? Are we saying that there should be some sort
so
of?
we should incorporate the people that are schizophrenic into society. Be like, oh yeah, this is Julie and John. Who are you right now? And that should just be normal and okay. No, they are mentally
What are you talking
ill
about?
and they need help.
That's something different.
It's
That's
not.
that's
How
an
do you- how is it
illness.
different? In their
Because
head,
that's
there's
an
two different
illness
people
that's
exist.
an illness that negatively
It's only an illness
that
because we're
can
told it
see
is.
this is where you know you're wrong, so you'll just keep doing this.
No, I'm
and you
not.
don't want me to speak. So no, and you'll just keep doing that thing, and that's just irritating. So please don't do that. But the schizophrenia is a negative. Those people don't walk around like, no, I'm Jim and John, and everything's good to blah blah blah.
Why is it a negative? Only because we're told it's a negative.
It's a negative for them. It's not a positive thing to have loss of time and not know what happened, not know what you did, and have this conflict going on in your head. You're trying to say that somebody that doesn't identify as neither male or woman by the traditional definitions of it is comparable to schizophrenia? That is nuts. And that's why those people have such a chip on their shoulder, because that's what they deal with even from their friends. Like that's that idea that they're not just a person who's different than you and they get to live their lives, and that's cool. And I'll just accept you for what you do, and as long as it's negatively affecting me, I'm cool with it.
I understand, David. Noodle? Absolutely not. Noodle is
Again,
mentally ill and
you
needs
sound
help.
like some old lady. He's mentally ill and needs help. Okay.
It's not he, they.
They is mentally ill and needs help. Because what? They suffer in this world. They're suffering with their identity, and they're not proud of who they are and very cool with it, and are sick of dealing with the bigotry. That like, how is Noodle like cutting themselves or something? Like where's the mental
Noodle
illness?
is clearly very troubled and upset inside and never found somewhere to fit
Okay,
in.
well, that doesn't have to do
Isn't
with
an attractive person, so wasn't ever really liked by anybody in particular.
but that doesn't
And this is their way of coping with it.
That-
That is a mental issue.
there's more to it than just their identification at that point. And at the same time, it would be pretty fucking I think about this all the time. If I had to pretend to be gay in order to fit in with society, if my whole life I knew I was straight and I was attracted to women and and I spoke like this, but whenever I was in public or whenever anybody saw me, I had to be like this all the time. And I just walked around and I strutted and I sashayed and I just, oh, look at me, I'm gay. And I had to pretend to be gay, and I had a boyfriend and I had to put his balls on my face and shit like that. And I'm taking in the ass and all that shit just so I can get by in this world.
I agree.
Like these gay guys that have kids and shit.
I agree.
So to think about it from that perspective and think about how much that would probably fuck you up. That's more the issue than anything else, than how these people choose to identify. If they were who they were in a society that accepted them from the beginning, they probably wouldn't have all those other issues.
These people are David's generation, they're young, so they didn't
Doesn't
deal with
matter.
any of that.
Are you crazy? It's getting a little bit better, but it's not better. Go to any street corner and look at your average Trumpanzee rally. Watch fucking TV. Sure, it's not 90s television anymore. You know, you don't have in living color on primetime television teaching little boys like me to make fun of retarded people and gay people and all of it. Like that's not a thing anymore. I'll give it that. But we still live in a very, very, very we have Trump running for president. So until we get to the point where we have David running for president, then we're not, there's nothing to be, we have a long ways to go.
Well, like I said, from a biological standpoint, I understand David.
How do you understand David? David is transitioning.
He is in a slow process in his way because he feels like he should have been born a female.
So that's okay for him to say, I'm in a man's body, but I feel like I'm a female and I'm going to go through the process. I'm probably going to cut my dick off. I'm going to do all these things to become a woman. That's okay. But he doesn't become a woman biologically. He's still a fucking man.
That's not what I'm saying. Biologically, when his body was created, it was created with way more of the female hormones and chromosomes than the male.
You sound so ridiculous right now.
It's not. That's from.
You sound ridiculous right now, saying that so David is born this way and that's okay. But somebody that's born in a way that doesn't identify with either necessarily and more so identifies with both, that's wrong. That's just wrong. Like, that's crazy. That's bigotry, and you're not even understanding that that's what you're doing. It's bigotry. This person is born this way, and at the end of the day, how they are does not affect you in any way other than you might have to change your pronouns. You might have to expand your vocabulary, expand your consciousness and your ability, your tolerance and your ability to accept things. I just can't. It's always been my issue with gays. Like, how are gay people hurting me? Even if a gay person hits on me, like, isn't that a fucking compliment?
Yes, of the highest form.
That's what I always like. No, dude, I'm not gay. And the thing is, every time I've ever been hit on by a gay guy and been like, and now I'm not gay, they've been like, oh, sorry, okay. But that's too bad, or something like that.
But the taboo about that is that the other guys are going to think, oh, they thought you were gay. You must look gay. You must act gay. You must be, and that's why men are so, they don't want to be hit on by a gay dude because they don't want other dudes to think that, they were gay.
Right. Well, that's because people are stupid. I mean, that's fucking stupid. So if ugly dudes hit on a chick, does that mean she's ugly?
I mean, it's
the same stupid. It's stupid. You're stupid. You're stupid. They've made us stupid and they've distracted us because, I mean, my generation, so my generation is the generation where gay became a thing. Right? Like I remember before there was gay, and then I remember when that happened. I remember when it was like, why does Elton John have his right ear pierced and act like such a goofy clown? And he doesn't, he acts weird. Like that was, I always talk about Prince. I tell this story all the time. Prince is a guy I went to school with.
You didn't know he was gay back then, though?
We knew Prince was different. There wasn't a gay. We called Prince a fairy. Like he acted like a fairy.
You were exposed to it when you were young or not? Like,
no, there wasn't. Gay wasn't like it. It hadn't.
Had a gay cousin, so.
It hadn't. been a thing that was on TV.
Not
Like
on TV,
we,
but
it
it
was,
existed.
it existed. I know gay has always existed. God damn it. I know there's always been gay people, no doubt about it. I'm not saying that. I'm saying gay as a concept where they were like, I'm gay and it's okay. Like that thing hadn't really started yet. You know, the gay movement was you know, it started in like 78 or something like that in New York, in the Village, where the cops attacked that one bar or some shit like that. That's sort of where the whole thing sort of the movement started or whatever. Um, but like, you know, in my mostly white school, I lived in Plymouth, Canton, which is middle class, majority white part of town. At least it was. Um, and
Middle class, upper middle class.
no, no, not where we were. There is upper middle class, and Canton's huge. Um, but where we were was definitely not that. I lived in an apartment complex, one of the bigger apartment complexes like in the country. Um, and it was this melting pot of foreigners and just all people, all colors. Nobody had money. Like it wasn't. It was a great place to grow up, actually. Um, Prince was he was. I mean, I think the apartment had like Section 8 in it as well. So Prince was Section 8, and Prince. The thing I remembered about Prince always smelled. He always smelled like his breath smelled like shit, and he just had that sour milk smell to him. And again, it's because he was fucking poor. I mean, I didn't know any different. I didn't know that there was a good chance the water was off or, you know, whatever. But Prince was he was this kid who he was black, obviously, and he was like this. He did gymnastics, so like his mom busted. Like he had sisters and shit. Like his mom did well for whatever, for being as poor as they were. You know, Prince was, and there used to be a lot more free programs and shit like that that people could be a part of. So Prince was involved in gymnastics and all that other shit. Like Prince was like a specimen. I remember my first memory of Prince is watching him do like stand. He'd get up on the, you know, we'd have the tires, the big monster truck tires, and they'd be stacked. It would be like two of those stacked on top of each other, and they'd make like forts and shit out of them. That was our playground equipment back then.
Yeah.
And Prince would get up on top of those and do a backflip and land on his feet.
Oh my God, they didn't stop him?
Yeah, right. So like Prince was like this. He was just this. He, you know, doing running back handsprings and shit. He'd do all that shit on the recess field but he was, Prince was one of those guys who never like there was never any. Again, we didn't know he was. I don't remember knowing he was gay. I just remember thinking he acts like a girl. He's super girly. We should pick on that. Like that was what was, you know, that's what you saw on TV. That was the case. And so we would always, you know, I remember calling him Princess all the time, and that he was a fairy. That was the thing, is that Princess was a fairy, I think. And so in 5th grade, we were in class. Might even have been sex ed when they were doing the sex ed thing. And all the boys were in one class and all the girls were in the other. And I had said something to him, and he was sitting right next to me, and he turned and he boom blasted me right in the nose, and my nose just exploded. Blood was everywhere, just everywhere. And of course I'm crying and blah blah blah. And I don't even remember what happened. I don't remember, you know, it seems like it was one of those situations where the teachers were kind of like, you know, You had it coming. But I didn't learn my lesson. And then in sixth grade, stupid me, Prince was one of those dudes that shot up between fifth and sixth grade. And had like a man body and was like, he was a gymnast. He had he was cut. He had muscles and shit. And I had gym either second or third period. And I was talking shit to him. And after gym, we would change and then wait out in the hallway for the bell to ring. And he came out of the hallway and he was like, when we get off the bus, I'm beating your ass. And I was like, what? That's not how this is supposed to go. And it was like a fucking, a wildfire. It just spread. The whole school knew. Oh, Prince gonna get you. Oh, Prince gonna get you. And everybody knew he was. I was little. I was little and wiry and probably pretty effeminate myself since I'd basically grown up with my mom. Raised by a woman. I had all those mannerisms and shit. And so, and I didn't know how to fight. And so we got off the bus and I was just terrified. The whole day was just awful. My friends were all talking shit, oh, he's going to get you. All the kids that like my friends were the popular kids and we all also happened to live in the same spot. We were like, it just sucked. And everybody was just talking shit. And then so we get off the bus and Prince is pushing me. Come on, motherfucker. And I'm just walking. I'm just walking home. I don't know what else to do. I'm not going to square up. So he's just pushing me. And I'm probably crying. Can't remember. Probably though. And so he followed me like, I don't know, like a couple of blocks and everybody there's got to be like 20 people there. And eventually he just gave up. And he was like, all right then, pussy. And he walked away and everybody was laughing. And I just walked home, all head hanging low.
Did you tell your mom when you got home?
No, my mom wasn't home. I was latchkey, baby.
Well, no, I know, but when she got home, did you tell her about it?
Probably not.
So you had to suffer silently with that?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And then, go to school the next day. I don't remember anything. I don't remember going to school the next day. Well, I don't remember going to the bus stop or anything the next day. Maybe that was even a Friday. So there was like that weekend in between.
That would help.
But I needless to say, never made fun of Prince again. But, but that was.
You did, just in your own head.
No, you know what? Like I said, we gotta have our kids watch that movie Flatliners. I want to see that. So that was in sixth grade. Shortly thereafter, we moved out. No, that was sixth grade. So seventh grade, I ended up going to the other school because in seventh grade, so because our neighborhood was where it got like rezoned. And so the kids in our neighborhood alone got to pick whether they wanted to continue to go to East the next year or try their hand at going to Central. And I hated East Middle School. It was this old, dirty fucking... I just hated it. So I was like, cool, new school, I'm going. So me and one of my other buddies, we decided to go to Central while John and Tony and all them, Prince, stayed at East. So that was like, I never really saw Prince again because we moved halfway through seventh grade. And we still went to Central. We just moved closer to Central. And then in eighth grade, we moved again halfway through eighth grade to Northville. And I started smoking pot the day OJ got chased. So I think that's going into 10th grade. And I watched Flatliners for the first time at some point during that 10th grade year or something like that. And there was a couple of people that it made me think of, and Prince was one of them. So when I had my license, I went and I found Prince's old house, and I remember it like it was yesterday. Like I don't know what I was expecting,
Hello?
but I
Hi.
I found Prince's house. I was surprised he was still there. I was surprised I found it, but I found Prince's, well, his condo. And I knocked on the door, and some girl answered, and I was like, "Yeah, is Prince here?" And she was like, "Hang on a minute." And that smell came wafting out. Oh, it was so bad. It was like it dawned. Prince doesn't stink. His house stank. Oh, like I didn't realize it. And so he comes to the door and he is like, he's looking at me all like super gay, but super skeptical. Like he's like you could just if you could picture like gay guy being skeptical, that's what he looked like. And he's looking at me and he's like, what? Or yeah, or something like that. And I was like, look, man, I just wanted to apologize. I made your life hell for a long time, and I'm really sorry. That was horrible of me. And he was like, okay. And I was like, oh, all right then.
No.
Take it easy. And he's like, bye. I mean, I'm sure he was fucking totally surprised. Like he had, I guarantee when he woke up that day, he had no concept that Guy Williams was going to come to his house and fucking apologize to him for making his childhood shittier.
I can't talk. I can't talk to you.
I can't take credit and say I had that much of an effect on him that I made his childhood shitty. No. But I can say that I made his childhood shittier. That's for sure. And I left, and
Yeah, so no wonder I'm mad at that.
that might even been the day I went and like found another one of my friends, Mike, that I ended up hanging out with like almost every day from that point on. It might have been that day. I don't know. But that was like that was my full circle.
Can you split me in two so I can go to Kalahari and stay and take care? Should I go take care? Can you do that?
So
Because I want to do both.
that was that's one of those lessons that you got to learn, I guess. You learn the hard way. Prince is like some dancer now, like this really like in the dancing world. I think he's pretty well known. I don't know, but like he was in a. I saw him. He was in an iPod, I Apple iPhone commercial or some shit. But I don't know. I always wonder. Like, I'd love to know what he thought of that. I'll never know. 'Cause I reached out to him through Facebook, and I think for a minute we might have been friends, but I don't know. Maybe not friends. I just think I probably reached out to him. Distractions and deception is everywhere now. Strange times. Very, very true, Mr. Freeland. But it's no different than it's ever been. One of the biggest distractions, deceptions, is that now is somehow worse than it used to be. And the reality is now is probably the best time it's ever been for us. Other than the Tartaria, everything post reset, we can say that. Like this is every day that we move forward is the best time ever. There's more rights that people have, and there's more understanding, and there's more advancement. Technology, like things like chemtrails, things like HARP. I was posting it today. When are we going to start demanding that they use chemtrails and HARP like they said they were going to do in Eyes to Space? Or I thought it was Eyes to the Skies, but I think it's called Eyes in Space. But the movie from 1959, the collaboration between Disney and the United States government, where they bragged about using aerosols from planes and mini HARP facilities stationed all across the coastline to be able to destroy hurricanes. This is in 1959 they were talking about this. You're saying here we are fucking 40, 50, 60 years later and they can't do it? Bullshit. It's weird now because of social media and the internet, I guess. But that's what makes it better. They fucked up. When the Jews gave us the internet and they gave us the ability to communicate with each other and no longer rely on them. See, everybody talks about going back, but if you go back to anything pre-internet, we 100% rely on the Jews that control our narrative. The only place people got the news from was the news. Whether it was the newspaper, which was always, late. I mean, by the time you got the newspaper, that story's old. But, we didn't have cell phones and cameras and the ability to show all the shit that they choose not to show us. The internet is the greatest thing that they accidentally ever gave us. And that's the problem is just like with everything else, they have us thinking the wrong way. They have us thinking the solutions are the negatives. A one world government. No, we don't want a one world government. Yes, we do. We want a one world government where everyone has the same rights, the same freedoms, the same opportunities. Where you don't just get killed because you're gay and you're born in, Saudi Arabia or whatever. You don't just get to be blown up because you happen to be born Palestinian and the Jews are mad that day. A one world religion where instead of a fairy tale, we believe in man and everything we're capable of. That's the trick. They have us thinking that a one world government, one world religion is bad, that now is the bad time and we need to go back to some other time. Hell no, we don't need to go back any other time. Unless you're a white, straight Christian male or a Jew, this is the best time ever. Every other time has been much worse, much worse. Just look at the TVs we have now. Just look at the internet. The internet, how much we've changed since this. It was one way for a really long time. And there's like a distinct difference between pre-internet and post-internet as far as the people go. That pre-internet generation is the one that keeps all the negatives going. It's this new generation. Like another trick. We've been taught that this new generation is the worst generation to come. Next generation, they're all so lazy. They're all so whiny. Gen Z is the worst. Gen Z is the worst. Gen Z is the first generation to openly stand up to Israel. Across the country, still, the richest, most powerful people in the world send their kids to the Harvards and the Yales and all that. And those kids are protesting against Israel. They're the first generation to stand up to the fucking, the thing. And everybody is still wants to say they're the worst. No, this is the best of us, and it's only going to get better. The more we stand up and try to oust, like the whole Tartaria thing. If you really want to pay attention to it, when I say Tartaria is a distraction, Diddy is a distraction, all these are distractions. They're designed to keep our attention so that we're not talking about the Jews. We're not talking about Israel and the genocide they're committing. And, we're distracted by fucking Diddy when the Jews have been raping people and children for fucking the whole time. The whole fucking time. That's all Hollywood's ever been. Is Jews raping people. Go look at the interview with Shirley Temple and Larry King. Shirley Temple is talking about how she had a meeting because what most people don't understand is like Hollywood is just another. It's just another. It's like sports, right? Like Jews control sports, Jews control Hollywood. And they divvy it up between them. So each studio is owned by the Jews, and each studio is like the team, and they sign each actor actress to long-term deals, and this is especially how it used to be. It's different now, but this is how it definitely used to be. So people like Shirley Temple, they belong to Warner Brothers or they belong to MGM or whatever. And if MGM wants to use a movie or make a movie using Shirley Temple, they have to get, they have to have the meeting between the head Jews. Okay, hey, we're gonna trade you. It's just like when sports players get, baseball players, whatever, they get traded to a different team. It's the same thing, except with actors, they more get rented out. So when MGM wants to use a Warner Brothers actor, they have to pay Warner Brothers to use that actor.
What?
So I think it was for the Wizard of Oz. They wanted Shirley Temple for the Wizard of Oz. And so she was meeting with the heads of MGM, her and her mom. And she said, she's telling Larry King this story. And Larry's just like, he's laughing. He's just like licking his chops. He thinks this story's like a funny, happy story. And she says that, she was taken into, they separated her and her mom. And, MGM is like it's Metro, Goldwyn, and Mayer or something like that. And she was meeting with Mayer while her mom was meeting with Goldwyn or one of those things. Interchange them however you want. And she says she walked into the Mayer's or whatever Goldwyn's room, and she's sitting there, and he's in one of those swivel chairs, I think, and he turns around and he's naked. He's butt ass naked. And she said she instinctively just started laughing because she had never seen such an old man naked before. And the thing is, that's what actually saved her. If she would have had fear in her eyes, he would have preyed on it because that's what he wanted. But she accidentally insulted him by laughing at him and hurt his little Jew pride. So he got all mad and kicked her out. And he said, and she said, so she got out and she waited, and after a few minutes, her mom came out. And they didn't even say anything. They just held hands and walked out. And as they were driving home, she told her mom what happened, and her mom said something like, well, at least you got out of there, or something like her mom implied that she experienced worse. And the entire time, again, Larry's like, oh, that's crazy. Disgusting fucking Jew. Like, this shit's been going on for every single, you realize this falls into that category where every single one of us knows it. Every single one of us knows Hollywood is controlled and run by pedophiles. And we would never let our kids go to Hollywood, or experience Hollywood without us. Then we would insist on being at every single taping, at every single audition, everything, because we all know the casting couch is fucking real. We all know that. We all know that, and it still exists. Fucking irritating, but it's the same thing with all of it. We all know that the Jews control the money, control the government, control the entertainment industry. We all know it. When somebody like me starts talking about it, we've all been programmed to go, oh, hey, buddy. Hey. I know we all know it and we say it in jest, but can't talk about it seriously. Can't say, hey, let's fix the problems. Isn't it? It's just like depression, right? The Jews have convinced everybody that they're depressed. Here's some medication to make you a zombie. Oh, this medication doesn't work, right? Here, take this one with that one. Oh, those don't work. Now take this. Now switch this and take that. Now take this, switch that, take this, switch those, double this, triple that. All the Jew doctors just prescribing us medication, telling us we're depressed. When the reality is, most of us aren't depressed. Most of us are fucking angry. We're angry and there's no outlet for it. We're angry because we know the Jews control everything. And we know we're not allowed to talk about it. We know that if we talked about these things and looked at it for real, we could actually do something about it. But because we self-police ourselves, because we self-police each other, it continues to happen. But we all know it, and that's what makes us angry. We're angry. We're fucking furious. We're not depressed. We're pissed. And because we can't, there's no, you're not allowed to fight. But you're not allowed to say, you're not allowed to talk about. You have to keep your mouth shut and respect everybody's this. If you're right, if whatever you think is right is right, why do I need to agree with it? If you think you're right, why does it matter if I disagree with you or I point something out or whatever? You're right, aren't you? So what the fuck does it matter? If circumcision and the moil, the Jewish priest, the moil, putting the bloody baby dick in his mouth was okay, they wouldn't tell us not to talk about it. Yeah. It's not okay. Circumcision is one of the worst things we do unnecessarily. It's fucking nuts. And if you actually, most of you Christians out there watching, you don't even understand why you do it. You do it to acknowledge that you're Jewish property. That's what circumcision is. Abraham circumcised himself and all of his slaves. And it was the mark to let all of them know that to let people know, because apparently, again, somehow people knew whether you were circumcised or not back in the day. But that's what that is. That's us marking ourselves as Jewish property. You don't even realize that's what you're doing. You also don't realize how stupid your Bible is. Your Bible, your God, doesn't care how you treat each other, how we treat each other. He doesn't care if we're good to each other. He doesn't care if we're good to the planet. He doesn't care if we violate every rule in the Bible. He doesn't care. Okay. He promised Abraham
this wasn't
that
a situation
as long as the people keep circumcising babies, he'll never flood the world again, and he'll show us that as his promise in the rainbow. That's what the rainbow symbolizes. God's promise to never flood the world again as long as we keep circumcising babies. That's the only thing keeping God from destroying us. Nothing to do with how we treat each other. Do you understand how stupid that is? Do you understand that circumcision is the main number one thing in the Jewish faith? It's their number one. They have to go through the Brit Milah. And the way they do it, of it being one of the first things the male experiences in this lifetime. Within hours of being born, going through this extreme trauma while being left alone to fucking try to figure out what the fuck just happened, and it's in whatever minor capacity that we have when we're hours old. Whereas with the Jews, they wait until the 8th day. And on the 8th day, after the child has already experienced love and life at least a little bit, they have a big party where, again, the moil comes and he fucking cuts the baby dick and then sucks on it. And afterward, the baby is surrounded by love. Passed around to family members, even though it's going through the horrible fucking trauma, at least it has the love. It's not just put into its little incubator thing so it can go through shock all on its own like we do to our fucking Goyim children. Gee, I wonder why American prisons are the most full prisons in the world. I wonder why we're such a violent nation. Couldn't be because the men experience trauma, unnecessary trauma, within the first few hours of being alive, could it? Guys, come on, man. There's 7 people here. None of you have an opinion on this? Come on, tell me how I'm stupid. Tell me how I'm wrong. Tell me you know more than I do. That's what I want to hear. If you're watching, fucking share it, man. If you can't tell me what I'm wrong about, then share it with somebody that can. Wouldn't it be great to get some rabbis on here? Wouldn't it be great to get a Jew that was actually proud to be who they are, to come on here and put me in my place? See, the thing is, before people go getting words wrong, Greg, my wife and I are doing free birth. Not sure what free birth is, but it sounds like it's not that. And good. Do not circumcise your children. Do not circumcise your children. It's one of my 2 regrets with my kids. My first regret is that we circumcised them. My second regret is that we gave them partial vaccinations. I wish we would have given them none, but we were bullied and tricked, and, it was crazy.
I always felt like her
It was crazy. What they did to us was crazy.
like I really
And I will regret it to the day I die. I'm not, just because I know the right thing or say the right thing doesn't mean I always do it. I'm not fucking perfect. I'm a human. I make mistakes, man. I didn't know what I know now. Knowing what I know now, there's no fucking way. I don't care. No aesthetics, nothing. I don't give a fuck. The fact that they've tricked females in the United States and other to think mutilation is the way to go. Like we all get upset when we hear about what the Saudi Arabian Wahhabis do to the girls, and they cut up they cut the clitoris off and shit. We all hate that, and we should. That's gross. That's fucking horrible. How dare you? But then we're all fucking cutting our fucking boys up like it's no big deal. Get the fuck out of here. Why? Do you know why you do the things you do? Do you understand? Like, you're mutilating your child, and you don't even know why. You're just doing it. It's fucking crazy. You're doing this bullshit for some Jewish bullshit, and you don't even know it. You just, oh, yeah, we got our kid circumcised. They bring you the baby. Oh, look, little man's all tired. So what they do is they take the kid away from the parent. So it's in the little incubator room thing, the nursery, where it's it's alone.
So is it?
And after a while, they go get him, and they strap him down in almost like a cross, like almost. His arms are strapped down and his legs are strapped down. And they put this weird like bell thing around the baby's dick, and they spin it around. And they say they use some anesthetic and some numbing stuff, but that's new. That hasn't always been the case, and I don't think that's very common. But when they do it, the baby goes, ah! And then it just like freezes. It doesn't even cry because it goes into shock most of the time. And so after they do that, they wrap the baby's dick up in the fucking diaper, so it's a wound that's gonna have pee all in it. And they take the baby back to the nursery until it comes out of the shock. And when it does, then it's all drowsy, and they bring it and go, oh, little man had his surgery, he's tired. And the parents are like, oh, come here. You have no idea what your child just went through. Do not do that to your child. If you love your child, you won't let fucking society tell you to mutilate him. Mutilate this motherfucker. He's born. He's perfect. Don't fucking mutilate him. If we weren't supposed to have it, why do we still get it?
Yeah.
Shouldn't all these years of mutilation have changed our DNA, our makeup, and made us evolve? Nope. Guys, you need to understand. You are allowed to not support things. You are allowed to stand up to these Jews and say, hey, your religion, your cult is awful. It's disgusting. What you people are doing and supporting that's happening right now. See, it's to me, and I've said this the entire time, just like I told you guys months before October 7th was going to happen. I didn't tell you it was October 7th, but I told you that's in like June of 2023. I started telling people that if Israel doesn't do one of these false flags where they create a situation that they then use as justification to annihilate the Palestinians, if they don't do that by the end of 2023, I'll stop making videos altogether. And I was following it. I was following as they were doing, the visa waiver program and just all that shit. And the visa waiver program, they got put in it, I think, September 30th. And I thought, okay, that now they have the visa waiver program, so they're going to bring a bunch of them here. So for sure, by December, February at the latest, but by December, this false flag shit's going to happen. And a fucking week later, it happened. And they've claimed, first it was 1,400 people killed in Israel. Then it was 1,200, around 1,200 people killed in Israel. Now it's like 1,100 something or other people killed in Israel. And they're not lying. It's how you take it. Because they'll keep saying this many people killed in Israel. They're not saying 1,100 something Israelis were killed. Because no Israelis were killed on that day. One of the things that's been forgotten is that almost immediately Israel was bragging. Well, okay, so what all of you, not most, all of you, none of you have done this. I guarantee none of you shortly after October 7th got it in your head to look up the Wikipedia page for the Israeli Hamas War 2023. Go to that Wikipedia page and then click on the edit history. Thanks for the like, whoever liked it, thanks. Click on the edit history and then go to the edit history and go all the way back to the first edit. I guarantee none of you did it. I did, because I'm a fucking weirdo like that, right? And so what you find is that the first edit for the page was made at 6:22 local time, 6:22 a.m. local time, October 7th. The interesting thing is that the totally surprise attack that nobody saw coming, nobody knew, blah, 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 took Israel completely by surprise, happened 6:30 a.m. local time on October 7th. So somehow, somebody knew exactly what was going to happen 8 minutes before it did. It's completely by surprise. And so then if you then start clicking on the edits, and you can't do it now, because if you do it now, it'll just take you for fucking ever. To get back to get through it. I tried to go look at the edit history of something the other day, and yesterday actually, I think, and it doesn't work like that anymore. It's like it takes you to this other thing, and then you gotta. It's weird how it works. It doesn't work like it did when I did this. Strangely enough, I've been encouraging people to go to the Wikipedia page and do this since I did this, and strangely enough, it's been adjusted so you can't do it anymore. Go figure. But if you look at the edits, so there's like 4 or 5 people that are seemingly editing this narrative and presenting the narrative that happens over the next 24, 48 hours. It's all being laid out within the first, if you look at the times, like I must have read 800 or so edits, and I only got to 3 hours to like 9:30 or something like that. There were so many edits made by these 5 people. And now this was one of those pages that you can't just edit. I tried. but it said you had to be approved by one panel, one group. You had to have like an edit history of like 100 or like 500 edits and so many hours worth or something like that. And then you also had to be approved by this one group who would then, once you got approved, then you had to get approved by another group. Then you would be allowed to edit this page, strangely enough. So I'm reading through this 3 hours worth of edits, and like I say, it's like 8:30 or 8:21 and 30 seconds. This edit's made 8:21 and 32 seconds. This edit's made 8:31 and 40 seconds. This one's made. Like, it was insane how this was happening, right? And they were laying out this narrative, and one of the things they said was that the Palestinians fired 5,000 rockets in 20 minutes. That's like 4 rockets per second or something like that for 20 minutes. Straight. How does anyone fire 5,000 rockets in 20 minutes? But especially this ragtag group of nothings in an area that's been completely bombarded and quarantined off. Like there's a makeshift border around it that nobody gets through. No supplies get. They can't even get wood because Israel deems wood to build houses back up that have been destroyed. Israel deems those any wood could be used to make weapons that could be used against Israel, so it's not allowed to be brought into the enclave. But somehow they were able to sneak in 5,000 rockets and enough rocket launchers to be able to launch those 5,000 rockets in 20 minutes, 4 per second for 20 minutes. I think it's 4 per second. Maybe it's 8 per second. But they also said that almost immediately that Israel had killed 1,500 Hamas. I mean, this report, this edit was put in there within the first 3 hours. So I don't know when the actual claim that happened was. Oh, and again, the reason why there's no real footage of that barrage is because it happened too quickly. 5,000 rockets in 20 minutes. That was too quick for anybody to actually get out their phones and film it. Strange, huh? But they also claim to have killed 500 Hamas in Israel. So from that point on, when they say 1,400, 1,200, 1,163 or whatever it is, people in Israel have been killed, they're not lying. They're just implying something, and you're taking it. You're assuming that they mean Israelis were killed. They don't mince words, man. When anything involves Israelis, they're proud. They say, this many Israelis, this many this. They're always refer to themselves as Israelis or the people of Israel. It's word games, it's mind games. There's a reason, and if you don't think there is, then why does every single news outlet say X amount of people killed in Israel? Every once in a while, you'll find one that says Israelis, but you really won't. But that's how they do it. They lie and they manipulate. And for people that don't grasp this, everything you see on TV, they want you to see it. It's not there by accident. So all the conspiracy stuff and all that stuff that, History Channel conspiracy, there's not telling any secrets on that shit. Even when it comes to YouTube and shit. If the video you're watching has 500,000 views on it, it's because it's allowed to. YouTube doesn't fuck around. When they don't want something, they censor it. It is what it is, guys. You have to see this shit. It's right there in front of you. And most people just they don't really grasp it. And there are a few different examples of Israel completely lying. Like not just Israel, the whole Jewish system, the media system. A great example of this, I was just reading about it yesterday, is the Grafton Thomas thing. This is the classic example of how the Jews control the narrative while while it's not real, like it's a completely fake story. So what you have is, I don't know if you guys remember this, but this is December of 2019. So just before we're all scared to touch each other, right? December were the most persecuted people in the United States. They've been sent for a long time. You know, the one thing that you'll never, ever, ever, ever hear anybody talk about is why. You know, the best you'll get with that is, like, I was watching Archie the other day, and the synagogue was attacked, and Archie Bunker's Jewish daughter was going to that temple with Archie Bunker's best friend and Jewish business partner, Archie Bunker. And so the temple gets attacked, and the little Jewish girl asked the Jewish best friend, the Jewish business partner, "Why does this happen?" And he said, "For 5,000 years." And that's that. There's no answer to that question. It's not like because we're horrible to people and we treat people horribly. And this whole 5,000 years, wait, what do you mean? Wait. If Jews killed Jesus and that's the big thing, then that's only supposedly 2,000 years ago, which is all just bullshit, mind you. Then what's the other 3,000 years? What'd they do then? Well, we killed other deities too. We killed other gods. Yeah. Jesus wasn't the first one. Like, it's so stupid. But the Grafton Thomas thing, 2019, crazy black man opens the door. He doesn't kick in the door. He opens the door to a rabbi's house where they're on the Shabbat, celebrating Shabbat and the 8th day of Hanukkah, and he starts stabbing people with his machete. Because that's what you do with a machete. You stab people, stabbing and slashing. And there were many Jewish people there, and they were able to get him out by throwing furniture at him, including a coffee table. Because you have to have details. There has to be details in the story. Now, are those details that matter? No, absolutely not. But that's not how you'll remember it. You'll remember it that there were details. You might not remember what the details were, but you remember that it was detailed. So when they tell you that, oh, and they threw a coffee table at him, that's going to be one of those details that sticks. Never mind a coffee table? How do you throw a coffee table at someone? Are you kidding me? You throw a coffee table at the person stabbing you with a machete? That's amazing. But so he escapes and he goes next door to the adjacent synagogue, but they heard the commotion and barricaded the door. So he gets in his car and drives from Bethel Park, Philadelphia, to New York, where about 45 minutes, half hour to 45 minutes later, he's arrested by the cops. He's pulled over by the cops in Harlem. Somehow, you know how the police work super, super fast? And like the crime happens, and by the time the person gets home, the cops have already tracked him with the, you know how they do that.
45 minutes.
Right.
The show's wrapped up.
Right. Oh yeah, there you go. It's probably a Dick Wolf production. There you go, wrapped up in 45 minutes. But when they found him, he was pulled over, and he still had blood on his hands, and he had bleach coming out of the bleach smell coming out of his car, and they and so he's immediately charged with like 5 counts of hate crime, murder, 5 counts of preventing people from celebrating their practicing the freedom of their religion with the intent to kill, or some crazy ass charge I've never heard of. And it's all these hate crime charges and all this shit. And like, so 2 days later, well, this happened he came into the house at 2 p.m. on December 28th. The news article that NPR put out was on December 30th at 11:43. So a little bit more than like 36 hours later, his mother has hired a Jewish lawyer somehow. In this situation, the black woman whose black son just attacked a bunch of Jews hires a Jewish lawyer. Sounds believable, doesn't it?
Totally.
Knowing how Jews stand up against stand up for the guy that attacked the synagogue and attacked the rabbis. Doesn't that make sense to you guys? Doesn't that sound like something Jews do? They're not the type to close ranks or anything. But anyway, they hire this Jewish attorney who has already somehow within this 36-hour period, most of which is nighttime, they've already gone through all of his journals, and they've hired the lawyer. He's then read all of his journals and knows that the guy is not anti-Semitic. I hate that word. See, quick break. So people know Puffy is crazy. He has no voice. I don't know what that means. But shit. Grafton Thomas is, where am I? That lawyer is in the ring, is all. I still don't know what you're talking about. I'm sorry. It's been exposed now. See, again, if we're talking about Puffy, see, I'm telling you a story about a character that the Jews made up and put on TV to make it sound like they're the victims. And then since then, they've locked him away in a mental institution, and every year he gets locked. Every year or every 2 years, he gets deemed unfit for trial and gets locked away in this mental institution, so nobody can interview him or see him or anything. If he was in prison, he could be interviewed, but he's in this mental institution. It's really a strange story. But Puffy is a mob boss. I know the game. I'm a musician. I am a proud Trump supporter. That's an easy way of saying you're stupid, but I appreciate that. Right?
Racist and sexist.
Racist, sexist, and stupid. No, and stupid. Because you have to be like, okay, so why do you support Trump? What are some of the policies of Trump's that you support? See, now you know this person, they just repeated themselves.
The economy was better, jobs were better. That's what you're going to do.
It's the law, dude. It's how they bust. What's the law? I don't know what you're talking about. This is a 30-year investigation. Okay. But this is if you're investigating the wrong things, it doesn't really matter. Like unless you're understanding that guys like Puffy are just they're just low-hanging fruit, man. Guys like Puffy are given their careers and their status so that when shit starts hitting the fan, they can pull the plug and there's the grenade. They pull the pin and throw the grenade out there, and Puffy takes the hit. You know, it's just like how Cat Williams and Kanye West only talked about black people. When you're talking about the things that Puffy is getting accused of, the Jews have been doing that in Hollywood the whole time. Literally the whole fucking time. Megan Fox is involved. Puffy is a sacrifice. Yeah, I mean, and yeah, Puffy's just the guy, just the patsy, just the scapegoat. While the Goyim are starting to get upset, talking about, hey, why is Weinstein getting his charges dropped? And hey, what happened with the Me Too? Why is that thing whole stalled out? And why aren't we talking about the Hollywood pedophile thing more? And blah blah blah. As that shit's starting to go, they need this distraction. Also, while Israel continues to fucking commit genocide, they need to distract us. That's why blacks have fame to begin with. Before like we stood up and said, hey, like you can't do that anymore, they wouldn't even use real blacks. They would have white people in blackface because they didn't, nobody was making them use blacks. Once it became illegal for them to do or not illegal, but frowned upon for them to do the blackface thing. And this took a long time, trust me. Like, there's one of the stars of the golden age is Hal Jolson. He's the mammy. He's that guy. Yeah, that guy was all about the blackface. Like, and that shit, that was his whole shtick. Right? Wait. It started with, oh, Jesus. Now you're going Satan and Adam and Eve. It's not Adam and Eve, it's Adam and Steve. It's underground Bitcoin currency. If you believe in Adam and Eve, dude, come on. I just don't get it. Like, how can you see you've done a 30-year investigation into the music industry and you see that it's all this crazy shit, and instead of realizing, like, and using that same skepticism on religion, you followed the breadcrumbs they leave out, and now you're going with the satanic it's satanic. Come on, dude. Come on, dude. I love how Trump supporters can't help but stupidly prove my point. They're just going to come on here and I'm going to keep typing the same thing over and over again. I'm such a proud Trump supporter that I can't tell you why. Yeah. So you don't believe is all. No, I believe that it's a control scheme the Jews created, which is why their book is in front of every Bible. You got to get through their shit so you can read your shit. It's why your Bible is basically like an old Jewish man talking to another Jewish man, and we're like hearing the story. I think of it like Princess Bride. Like, if the Princess Bride was Columbo reading Fred Savage the Bible, that's basically what it is. That's the perspective that the Bible is. So you don't believe in God? Absolutely not. You know what? Watch. Ready? God is a piece of shit. There's no such thing as God. May I get struck down right now if God is real. Come on, pussy ass God. See? Nothing. Bible is not full of truth. No, it's all lies. It's just a bunch of lies. Jewish lies. You want to believe you believe there's a God out there that literally, like, you know that viewpoint in porn where it's like you can see the dude's balls and his butthole at the top of the screen, and it's like, why you always got to show me that fucking view? I don't want to see that shit. God has a closer view than that of children getting raped and does nothing about it. And you believe in that, huh? No, you just go to hell after here. Look, to you, it's Satan that sows through you. You will see when you leave this body and become property of Satan. You don't know the truth. Right. The truth that they gave us. Because that's the one thing that's made it through all this whole time without being fucked with. is the Bible and religion. The control scheme, the tax-free control scheme that has a church on every fucking corner, right? Right. You will see, you are blind, death, yeah, whatever. I couldn't care less what happens when I die. Like David, what's his name? David Cross said, right? Give my body to necrophiliacs. I don't give a fuck. I'll be dead. I don't care. Dead. If there's a God out there and God is gonna say to me, hey, you who got mad because I allowed pedophilia to exist in such a tremendous supply, if that means I go to hell, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Church, it's politics. Dude, the idea that your arrogance, this is typical Christian arrogance, right? You're acting like you know what happens after you die, like somebody died and came back and told us all about it. You go to the underworld and are born again into their body and underworld. You're not, you gotta, I know you're in a hurry to type, but you gotta make sure what you're saying makes sense. Oh, you are a prophet? Yeah, that's not arrogant at all. So wait, so check this out. So, my mom is Mary. My father is Guy, right? So I am the Guy, the son of Guy. My mother's father is Joseph, and her mother is Margaret Magdalena. Both of my parents are born on the summer solstice, the cusp between Gemini and Cancer. So, technically, each one of them is 3 signs, Gemini being 2. Each one of them is 3 signs, so it took 6 signs coming together to make me, Guy, the son of Guy, born on Christmas. And I got some woolly hair and some bronzy feet if you want to see them. I am. You see, it's a war of space, light, technology, and light above us. Every through and word you speak is recorded through life. Every thought? Yeah. Okay, dude. Okay. What such arrogance. Like this is that arrogance that's so amazing to me. Right? Eat that in Jesus' name. What? Like what?
That's
strange.
That's an oxymoron.
Right.
You don't like
I am
say
real.
something
I tell you
nasty
truth.
and then say it's in Jesus' name.
God is am humbled and say my hello to English. I don't even know what the fuck you're saying, dude.
You speak English or what?
Like what facts? What do you ask? What do I ask? Again, you want to go so why doesn't God give everyone that fucks with children a heart attack? Why does God allow so to be violated by the goddamn clergy? You have no questions, only hate. Well, no, I mean, I really don't have any questions about your nonsense, because it's nonsense. I'm not the one that has the burden of proof here. You do. You're the one making the outrageous claim saying that there's some sort of God out there that's, I guess, multiple manipulating everything at all at one time. You're the one making the outrageous claims, then backing it up by saying you're a prophet. So asking me what I don't sit there and like, I don't ask questions about unicorns, dude. I just assume they poop jelly beans and go on with my day. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Let's see. You hate first, but come one day, you will know well, kneel well before, you will kneel before God. Why would a God want people to kneel in front of him? Have you even read Revelations? Are you one of these idiots that talks, but you don't actually know what you're talking about? Revelations is some of the goofiest shit you'll ever read. You got God sitting on a throne surrounded by these people that are going, "Oh Lord, 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 you are the best, most gracious God ever. We love you so much, oh Lord. Oh Lord, 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 you are the best, gracious God, and we love you so much, oh Lord. Oh Lord." They do this all day, every day, for all of eternity. That's how fucking shallow.
God, that would drive me nuts. Shut the fuck up.
That's how shallow your pussy God is. He needs somebody around him at all times telling him how wonderful he is. Praising every day. Oh, that was a good one, God. Yep, another good decision made, God. It's fucking silly.
He's that insecure that he needs the beings he created to tell him how wonderful he is.
No. Right. He created beings to tell him how wonderful he is. That is so fucking insane. But then again, so is the story of Job. And you hear this, but not the way people think about it. Like, you got to break that shit down. Some people were, some scholars or some shit were having a meeting with God. They were on their way up, and Satan snuck in. He snuck in, mingled amongst the scholars going to meet with God. And as soon as he got there, God saw him and came running up like, "Oh, hey, Satan. Hey, what's going on, Satan? Hey, I want you to say, Satan, check this out. I got a guy down here who worships everything about me." And on the way up there, Satan was like, "Hey, guys, watch this. I'm going to fuck with God. I'm going to get him to do some crazy shit. Watch." And they were like, "No, you can't do that." And he was like, "No, watch. God initiated, Satan, hey, look at this guy loves everything I do." And Satan's like, "Well, I guess, but you give him so much, so no duh, of course he loves you." And God's like, "Oh yeah, well, how about this? How about to prove to you that he loves me, you can fuck with him all you want. You just can't kill him, but you can fuck with him all you want." And Satan's like, "Okay." And he looks over at the guys and like, see? And so Satan fucks with him. Wrecks his shit, kills his children, all this other shit. And has another meeting with God, and God's like, "See, I told you, he still praises me. He still praises me." And Satan's like, "Yeah, but you said I couldn't." Like, it's such a fucked up, stupid story. It's almost as bad as how dumb Christians use the Bible to justify their bigotry towards gay people. Especially the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, which is when God makes everyone in the town gay. They weren't gay. They were all doing their thing, and all of a sudden, dinkle, dinkle, dink, everybody's gay. And they want to fuck these angels. And Lot, the guy that's housing the angels, the good soul that he is, to protect those two angels, he offers his two virgin daughters to the rape mob. "Hey, rape mob, don't you dare rape these two strangers that just got here. Instead, I'll give you my two virgin daughters." And the rape mob was like, "Nah, we want to fuck these angel guys in the butt for some reason. We don't even know." We don't even know. So all of a sudden, they get made blind. And because they're blind, now they can't find the doorknob. And then suddenly it's later. And the angels are like, "You know what, Lot? You really helped us out. We're going to let you know that God is going to destroy this place with fire and brimstone tomorrow morning. Because everybody was gay and trying to fuck us in the butt." And Lot was thinking it. He didn't say it, but he was like, "Well, didn't you guys kind of make him gay when that God?" Whatever. So Lot says, "Well, can I bring my," the angels say, "You and your family, your wife and your daughters, you can go." And Lot's like, "Well, can I get my daughter's betrothed husbands?" They were part of the rape mob, but they were under a spell. So can I get them too? And angels are like, "Okay." So Lot goes to talk to the guys, and Lot's like 800 years old.
How?
Shut up.
How does he live longer than Adam and Eve?
So Lot goes up to the guys and he's like, hey, remember how earlier today you were like blind and gay for a little while and you don't even know why? And they were like, yeah, that was weird. It's like we had a little cold or something. And he was like, no, that was the work of God. And tomorrow he was going to rain fire and brimstone down upon us. So I worked it out with the angels that we could go to this little town right down the road that'll get spared. I worked it out with them. And they're like, shut up, stupid. That's crazy. Fire and brimstone. No, dude, we were just gay and blind for a minute. This is like a little cold or something. Nothing had to do with God. Get the fuck out of here. So he's like, all right. So they go, and the next morning, they go to leave, and the angels are like, just don't look back. You don't want to look back. So they leave, and again, Lot's this old crippled man. So I don't understand, like, distances in the Bible don't make much sense. Because somehow they go to, like, this town, and on the way there, stupid wife, women are stupid, nah, Eve complex, stupid. She defies the angel's wishes and looks back, and as she does, she's turned into a pillar of salt. So they leave her, and they go to the town, and now it's just Lot and his daughters. And Lot's like, hey, you know what? I don't trust those angels. I think they were lying. I think they'll destroy this town. I have this cave that I happen to have many weeks, months worth of food and wine, like tons and tons of alcohol stashed up in this cave. I have it all up at the top of that mountain. Let's go up there.
That's the picture they use for the
Oh, Jesus. So they like Mario jumped their asses up this mountain, and they're in this cave where then the daughters hatch this plan that their father, because you know there's these little fairies that are like flying around that are writing all this down. Just like everything in the Bible, all the conversations that are had between two people, there must have been little fairies there writing everything down. Because these two girls, no older than like 15 and 13, but more like 14 and 12, decide that their father, who was going to offer, who did offer them up to the rape mob to protect these two strangers that had just shown up, that he's such a great man that his line needs to carry on. And them alone, being females, that's not his line carrying on. He needs to have sons. So what they're going to do is get him so drunk he won't remember it, because if he doesn't remember, it's okay. They can know because they're women and who gives a fuck. But if the man doesn't remember, the old, crippled, 800-year-old fucking man who can barely do it, as long as they get him so drunk he can't remember, because, you know, when you get so drunk you can't remember, your dick works really well, especially when you're an old man and you're fucking your daughter. But they get him so drunk that that they essentially rape him. And the next morning, the first daughter says, "It worked, sister. I am with child." Because, you know, the 14-year-old virgin knows exactly what it's like to be pregnant the next morning. Why do we even need pregnancy tests if 14-year-old virgins can know when they're pregnant from their father? So the younger daughter is like, sweet, now it's my turn. So the next night, they do the same thing, and the next day, the younger sister, who's probably 12-ish,
fucking disgusting.
She also knows that she is with child, so they don't have to do it multiple times. I guess that's a good thing. But they both know that they're with child. They both know that they are boys. And the child that's had from the father being raped by their daughter turns out to be these two great leaders, one of which goes on to be the leader of the Moabites, and the other one goes on to be the leader of this other Jewish community. And that's why God hates gay people. I mean, am I right? Am I right? Doesn't that sound like God hates gay people?
So that's why he made everybody gay first.
Right. So I haven't been reading this guy's comments, so I guess I got to read all this shit. It is the war in the spirit. It has rules to retain free will. God, this shit's so dumb. We watched the movie The Exorcist last night.
Oh no.
We watched the remade Exorcist.
Horrible remake.
I mean, but it's all just so stupid. Like the idea that the preacher is going to be the savior, and they're all Jesus, and it's all just dumb. The whole concept is fucking stupid. All of it was stupid. How can God judge you and the evil fairly if free will is not held? How can you have free will and God's plan? How can that work out? If everything works the way God intended, then God's a sick motherfucker, isn't he? It's all part of God's plan. Well, then I guess all the pedophiles are too, huh? Let's see. Do you see free will must be to convict? That's like saying so we're all God's children, right? So that's like me saying, I'm going to put something in the middle of the living room, the tree of knowledge. I'm going to put something in the middle of the living room and be like, hey, you see that awesome thing that looks like it's so cool and has these giant shiny apples just growing from it? Like, look at how amazing. Don't eat that. I'm going to do that to my children, and then I'm going to condemn them if they do. Get out of here. I don't discuss with snakes. Judgment is the court. Like, here is why we all is recorded. You call people stupid. I call beliefs stupid, and I call when people say things stupid, yes. The thing is, if I call what you say or even you stupid, if it's not true, why does that bother you? It's falling apart. It's so weird how people get all upset, but it's like, why should it bother you? You're the one that's right? Guys, if you're watching this, share it, man. Let's get some more people in here. What do you choose to bow or kneel? Nothing. Two choices is all. Read this now. Look at this arrogant Christian thinking they can tell me what to do. This is how it always works. Their arrogance does nothing but shine. The fact that I'm even reading your shit, you should be grateful. Especially since you're not even saying anything. What do you choose? Bow or kneel? Neither. What do you want? I'm going to slap you with the right hand, or slap you with the left hand. Which one do you want? It's amazing how many times they give us two choices and we're like, okay, hey, look, we have a choice. Republican or Democrat. Look, thank you. Thank you for picking two guys to give to us. Oh, look at this time. This one is a girl. Oh, look at the variety. This is a girl and she's brown. Oh, wow. She must be the Democrat. So stupid. I'm supposed to read this shit? He's saying, bow or kneel, Satan bow. Go now, blah, blah, blah. Bow or kneel. What do you choose? You will be silenced when you meet God. You will see demon. Like, seriously. Do I sound like that? Is that what I'm doing? Am I just repeating myself and saying the same nonsense words over and over again? Like, if that's what I sound like, I'm embarrassed. Because that, to me, that's just embarrassing. I can't imagine that an actual person is typing this shit out thinking, this'll get him. This guy who's making all these points, this'll shut him up. Like, The insecure arrogance, the arrogance in stupidity is just it's mind blowing. Demons and all this other shit, all these other distractions. There are so many distractions out there, and we're allowed to talk about all of them. Isn't it funny how if I'm talking about demons and all that shit, my feed doesn't get interfered with? I could actually be a fucking pretty rich man, I think. I think if I were to go the televangelist route, being the happy, being articulate, well spoken, able to speak well and project and I'm tall, I'm all these things. I bet I could make a lot of money being a televangelist. But if I wasn't such a, if I was a more selfish person, I'd do it. I just think it's poison. If it wasn't such a dangerous thing, if I could push it knowing it wasn't hurting anyone, then that might be a different thing. But especially the older I get, the more I see, the more I learn the Tartaria. Like, as soon as you understand or even entertain the idea of Tartaria, that has to destroy your concept of God, right? Because you believe the whole God narrative happened 2,000 some years ago. But the Tartaria stuff is a reset that happened somewhere in the last 300 years or so. So immediately, everything that supposedly happened before the reset is bullshit. I mean, everything we've been told, at least, we don't fucking know. And the reality is, as long as there's not talking about a reset, then we pretty much know everything since is bullshit as well. You can't leave out this really important factor. And it's a pretty obvious factor. And to me, Tartaria is the greatest distraction they give us. Because it's so true. See, people get the wrong idea when I say distractions. Like, when I say the pedophilia stuff is a distraction, it's not like I'm saying we shouldn't focus on it. The thing is, we shouldn't focus on the low-level shit only. We need to allow ourselves to take that all the way up and see where that goes. Because the reality is, why isn't pedophilia an automatic death sentence? Like, not even you're put on death row and you wait out 20 years. No. We just kill you. You're done. Well, isn't that what everybody watching this thinks? Except, obviously, the Israeli trolls. Doesn't everybody watching this think, fuck, kill them all? Like, not even a thought. Like, it's like it's almost insulting to suggest anything otherwise, right? Like, I find out you raped a child? You said all that nasty shit in the chat logs and then showed up to a house where you thought that little girl was going to be, or little boy was going to be, without their parents? Yeah, that's it, dude. Get your affairs in order. Write your shit out. You got about 2 weeks. Who thinks that's wrong? If anyone thinks that's the wrong way to do it, please tell me. If you have a better, I'm asking, like, if you have a better idea, then I want to know what a better solution is. I think giving them 2 weeks to, allow them to at least let their family have their shit, that's the least we could do. Why aren't we doing that? That's fucking insane. And that bleeds into the whole rape concept as a whole. If you're capable of raping someone who's passed out or who's telling you no, you don't do that once. Obama and Biden don't care. Yeah, but Trump doesn't either. That's the problem with the Trump supporter. Is the Trump supporter thinks that if you don't support Trump, you must support Biden. So what most of you are too stupid to understand, and you're stupid on purpose. Like I know you get offended by that term, but that's the term. You're stupid. They've made you stupid. They've made you to the point where obvious things you don't see the obvious thing being happening right in front of you, like with this election, right? So with this election, you can either have Kamala, who has the Jewish vice president, and they're making a big fucking deal out of it. I don't know if you've seen the YouTube commercials, but I get a lot of commercials on my YouTube talking about, you know, Doug Manhoff or whatever the fuck his name is, and how Kamala may have flip-flopped on many things like fracking and blah blah blah, but she's always stood strong with Israel. And I support Israel's right to defend itself. And Kamala listens to her vice president. Plus Kamala has the Jewish husband, right? Can't forget that part. Or the third party candidate, which is a joke because the third party doesn't win shit. But the third party is Jill Stein. So she's just a flat out Jew. Or you can have the greatest friend to the Israeli people that Israel and the Israeli people have ever known, according to Netanyahu, in Donald Trump, whose daughter has converted and who, according to some accounts, has converted himself. He's definitely been to the wall and kissed the wall a bunch of times. So while all of you dumbasses are distracted by what, these actors, these characters are saying they differ on, I am much more concerned with the one thing that they seemingly agree with across the board and never can say why. And you can't find any like nobody asked that question, no reporters, no, every time any of these fucking actors, Jake Sullivan, fucking Anthony Blinken, any of these people says, our support with Israel is ironclad. They all say the same. The reporters all hear these people say the same scripted thing. And yet none of them ask, hey, why? Why do we continue to support Israel? Why did we ever support Israel to begin with? It doesn't make any sense. If there's not a Jewish conspiracy, then what the fuck is going on? Never. You'll never see anyone ask anything even close to that. You can see Netanyahu address the UN, come to the States and get a fucking 10-minute standing ovation from Congress. Talking about how, Israel is the victim in all of this, and anybody that doesn't stand with Israel, and blah, blah, blah. Like, you can see all this shit happening. They don't even hide it. But you don't think there's a Jewish conspiracy, huh? They make up 0.183% of the world's population. Think about how many fucking powerful people you can think of that are Jewish. And think it, that's 0.183% of the world's population. They must be just that much better than all of us, huh? You ever been around a bunch of Jews? You ever been just blown away by how incredibly intelligent they are? Ever? Does it ever happen? Half the time you're like, why the fuck do you even talk like that? What is that accent? It's like the white people up here in Detroit that have that southern accent. Like, what? We're north, buddy. Where'd that shit come from? Look, if I'm wrong about anything, please tell me. It's funny how there's been multiple people that have come on here and claimed to be proud Trump supporters. Not one of them has made a point. If that doesn't say everything, if that doesn't point out exactly what the problem is, doesn't immediately show you how strong the stupidity is. Like, if you're gonna come on here, fucking say something. Say something that I can't refute. Why not make me look stupid by saying, oh, yeah, well, Trump does this, Trump's going to do that, Trump something, but nothing. Just dumb nonsense. What, Trump's going to have Mexico build the wall and like it? They're going to pay for it and like it. How'd that work out? How you like the prices you're paying on all that shit? It's amazing how people blame Biden, the Biden administration, for the prices of things. Like it wasn't all of the Trump administration policies coming into, coming into effect. They were set up so that if it was it's always that the second term of the president is the bad one because they don't have to get elected again. So then they can just do whatever the fuck they want with that guy. So the Trump the Trump stuff, all those policies and shit, they were set up for when he was in office for the second term and it wouldn't have mattered. Guys, if you can take 2 seconds to take the link, share the link on your Facebook page and shit. Say this guy wants Trump supporters, religious people, Jews, whoever. Come tell him what he's wrong about. People who believe the earth is round, like all of it. I don't care what it is, man. I pretty much don't believe in what you believe. I think everything is to keep us from talking about Israel, talking about the Jews. I mean, even what's going on now is just I have a hard time even reading. So for most of the last few years, I've had my other phone. I put Israel into the Google machine and then click news, and I would read the different stories that would come up, and that's how I knew October 7th was going to happen and all that other shit. That's how, since October 7th, if you go and look, I've been telling you guys, I've been saying it for longer than that actually, it's not about free Palestine. It's never been about free Palestine. What? So Palestine can what? Have some Christian or Muslim monarchy take over? Boy, that's freedom. The only way any of it's free, any of us are free, is to eliminate the Jews that control the narrative that is. But I've been telling you guys since October 7th, it's always been about end Israel. It's not free Palestine. Because once they're done killing the Palestinians, they will kill the... Who will they kill after the Palestinians, sweetheart? She can't remember. Starts with an L. The Lebanese.
Oh, Lebanon. Oh, yeah.
I've been saying that the whole time. They're going to attack the Lebanese, and it's already happening. It's not...
They've been making Iran for a long time.
For sure.
It's okay with...
Yeah, Iran is... There's something else that we don't understand going on. There's a reason why Iran is such a threat to them. I mean, the reality is, if Iran wasn't a threat, they would have already, between the U.S. and Israel, they would have already wiped Iran out. But see, this is one of those things where, again, we don't talk about the things that everyone agrees upon. Why isn't the Trump administration, that's all about not spending money outside the U.S., condemning what's going on with Israel? Months ago, I don't even know how much it is now. Months ago, we had sent Israel over $17 billion since October 7th. Now, when they talk about military aid, well, that money is earmarked for military aid. It's money. Whether they then spend that money on military aid or they spend their own money that they don't have to spend on other shit on military aid, they're still getting the money. Like, are you fucking stupid? Like, this is that stupidity that just blows my mind. I never understand what people are talking about. And again, The two biggest aircraft carriers that the United States has are stationed in the Gulf, in the Persian Gulf, or whatever that Gulf is outside of Israel. How much money do you think the two largest aircraft carriers in the fleet cost every day? I bet it's not like cheap. And we literally have no business doing it. Why are we there? There's literally no danger to us. And whatever danger does exist to the United States or to Americans is because of our support for Israel. If you ask any of the people from any nation anywhere why they support Israel or why they hate the United States, they'll say, well, we don't hate the Americans. It's the support for Israel that we hate. But all of you watching, I mean, do you even ask yourself these questions? Like, why do you think it's okay or it's not okay to talk about the Jews? Do you do that with Christians and Muslims? If somebody brings up Muslims, do you go, oh, hey, man, don't talk about them. It's okay. Do you stop that conversation from happening? If somebody starts talking about Christians, do you go, hey, buddy, hey, man, you can't say that. Don't say Christian. Can't say that. You can't call them Christians. Why do you think we're so weird about the Jews? Who do you think made us that way? Seriously, look at Hollywood. Look at what happens every time Hollywood, like we'll have like a golden age, of Hollywood. And then the Jews will be like, look at how great we do. We don't need them. Let's just use us. We don't need any Goyim anymore. And they'll kick all the Goyim out. And then we'll get all those Western one Western was popular. Let's make a whole shit ton of other ones. Let's make a bunch of dumb space films. And there'll be this period of shit. And then it won't be creative, and they'll have to redo things, and we'll get a bunch of remakes and shit. And then they eventually they realize, well, we have to let the Goyim back in a little bit because they're not creative. They're not creative. They're not smart. They're devious. That's why they pull the strings. It has nothing to do with them being smarter than us or better than us. It's because they're more unified than we are. And they're more willing to do. Because of that unification, because they have the true us versus them mentality, it's like how we view cows, how we view pigs and shit. We don't, those are life forms, man. Those are things that if you saw them as little, you'd be like, oh my God, those are so cute. Oh my goodness. A little lamb, all you that like your fucking lamb chops and shit, a little baby lamb, you'd be like, oh my God, and snuggle on you and shit. Those things, when you kill their children, until you get them used to it, especially the first lot, it fucks with them. It's just been proven time and time again that animals have that sense of loss. And we see them and think, okay, let's eat that. Let's wear it. We'll wear its skin. We'll crush its bones up for medicine or whatever other things. We don't want to waste anything. Melt down its hooves and shit, whatever, We use every part of the animal. We're good like that. That's how we look at lower life forms. That's how we look at life forms that are beneath us. So what happens when you believe that your group is the human and everything else is Goyim? Pigs, cows, tables, chairs, Gentiles, non-Jews. We're all here for them. So when it comes down to, using people and burning their candle at both ends and all that shit, they don't give a fuck. They don't care that we have, all so many women. You ever wonder why you see so many elderly women out in the workforce? What the fuck? It's because their husbands died. And when their husbands died, all the benefits and everything that they received, it cuts off. And because they weren't technically working, they get nothing. I think $3.8 billion a year. I think the first year, obviously, that $3.8 billion needs to go into the pedophile hunter groups. But I can't imagine you would need $3.8 billion every year.
No,
I think that would,
you wouldn't.
that would taper off. But I absolutely think a living wage for house spouses is a necessity. And I'm not saying anything insane. Minimum wage. 40 hours a week, minimum wage. That's fair. Obviously you're putting in more time than that. I'm not trying to say that's not what happens. But that's a fair, that's fair. 40 hours a week, that's fair. And I think that would benefit us so much more as a people than giving money to Israel to murder people. To have soldiers who wear shirts with a silhouette of a pregnant woman and a crosshairs pointing at the stomach, and it says 2 for 1 at the top. It's pretty fucked up. Everything I say can be backed up by what they want you to know. That's the thing. I'm not sitting here telling you a bunch of conspiracy theory shit. I'm telling you what they want you to know. You can validate everything I have to say. That's why I have the confidence to say what I have to say, knowing that nobody can come in here and tell me I'm wrong. What am I wrong about? You ever seen a feed with as many people as been on here? I mean, there's only 4 on here now, but there's been quite a few people that have come through here. With as many people that have come through here, and only one person has something to say, but it's a bunch of just crazy religious babble, or the I am a proud Trump supporter bullshit. Like, boy, that's, again, it's like, it strengthens the NPC argument, Like, are they only programmed to be able to say 1 or 2 things? Is that what the problem is? Every once in a while you get one that's programmed with, some of the religious nonsense so they can go a little bit harder, but it's still just a bunch of crazy shit where it eventually like hits a wall. Eventually it gets to a point where they just run out of steam.
The Bible says in Exodus 23, you shall have no other gods before me. I am a just God. The Bible is literally saying that there are other gods, but Yahweh doesn't want us worshiping them. That's funny.
The most powerful verse in the Bible, to me, is an often overlooked verse. And actually, it's funny because if you watch preachers, when they're talking about this, they always this is always the verse like they stop at and jump to something else. And then they come back and they skip over this shit. Or they'll like exaggerate some shit, but the verse is Matthew 24:34. And Matthew 24:34 is shortly after Revelations, and the disciples are talking to Jesus, and they're like, Jesus, oh shit, that shit sounded really scary, Jesus. And he says, they say, Jesus, when is this shit gonna go down? And Jesus says, Verily I say unto you, no one of this generation shall die until all of these things have come to pass. So, as I've said many times now, the Bible is a story, is Columbo telling Fred Savage a story, and we're watching that story, right? We're watching Columbo tell Fred Savage, and that, like, it's from that perspective of we the Jewish people. They say it all the time. They refer to it like there are many verses where it's a we thing, you know. Um, what the fuck was I just saying? I forgot what I was saying. No, I know the that part about Columbo always throws me off because it's such an interesting thing. It's so important that people understand that that's the perspective that we're seeing or we're getting from the Bible. It's and Matthew 24:34. That's what it was. So when you have this narrative that no one of this generation shall die until all these things have come to pass, well, and it makes all of his people feel better, meaning they know, okay, cool. Well, we won't die until after these things happen. So, shit, as long as these things haven't happened, we should live forever, right? Like, they have to be happening shortly, though. It can't be like, it can't be 10, 15, 20 years from now. Because, I mean, the Bible seems to make it seem like, and history actually seems to make it seem like there were a lot less people, but like not just a lot, like, and they'll say, oh yeah, there were a lot less people. There were only, but no. There were like a lot less people. Like you could be John of Billingford and everybody knew who you were. There was no other John of Billingford. It's weird. A lot of those guys were one namers. Like, how does that even exist? But I think Matthew 24:34 is one of those verses that sort of tells like the Bible is, and just like Columbo telling Fred Savage, he's telling Fred Savage a story of something that happened a long time ago. He's not telling him a story like this is what's about to happen or this is going to happen in 100,000 years, whatever. No, he's talking about some ancient bullshit that's already happened. We've already wrapped it up. The Bible is the story of the thing happening. They're not talking about, something to come and the rapture and all that shit. That shit already supposedly took place according to the Bible. They just sort of left it out or something. I don't know. But the whole rapture thing, like I read Revelations recently. And actually, I read it on here, or maybe it was on the other page, but I read it so you guys could all hear it. And it's seriously, dude, it's one of the dumbest things you'll read. Like it's the same thing with God and Jesus. They're both these really, really insecure characters who require everybody to just believe in them wholeheartedly, or else, but they're like these whiny, like, I mean, again, not only does God have the three people doing the holy, holy, but he has another, like, circle around him that's singing something else. And the way they say it, like, these creatures are just sitting there. God is just sitting there on his magical throne, and he's surrounded by these different rings of creatures and people and whatnot. And they're all just there, and they all just do their thing all the time, just sitting there waiting for God to say something so they can be like, hey, God, that was awesome. and then they sit down and they just play solitaire or some shit. Like, it's the stupidest fucking shit. And again, the Bible account is something that happened. We're not talking about something that's, they're not saying this is what's gonna happen. You know, it's just stupid. It's so stupid. I can't believe so many people believe it. And then you see it in the fact that you just can't find anybody that can have any sort of intelligent conversation with you about it. Nobody that believes in this shit is proud enough to have somebody disagree with them. I encourage you guys to disagree with me so then you can hash out little holes and shit that I have in my argument. You would think the people that believe in the thing that's supposedly thousands of years old, with all of the information available, they would be a lot more proud to have the discussion, but they're not. Because they inherently know it's fucking stupid. You're so much better than it, and you know it. And apparently I'm just losing viewers left and right, so I guess I'm going to bounce too. It's been a long time. I didn't mean to be on this long, so I hope everybody has a great day, and I hope all you pedophiles kill yourself.